Does Sonic 2 keep its foot on the franchise's accelerator, or should it pump the brakes? Let's find out now. Hey everyone, this is David Stark from Watch Your Pass. I've got my notes, I've got my ring. Let's talk Sonic the Hedgehog 2, which is coming to theaters on April 8th, 2022. It is a follow-up to Sonic 1, which was a surprisingly good movie. They did a pretty good job and translated that game onto the big screen in an entertaining way. So Sonic 2 continues that story with the same characters and edgy comedy that adds a couple new additions to mix it up a little bit. A couple fan favorites that you might have heard about. So my hot take is I actually think you should rent it. Now, it has a lot of the same things that made Sonic 1 great. It has really good animation. It's got some good new additions. It's got edgy humor. It's very funny. But the film overall is pretty long. It's 122 minutes. And it feels like the story just kind of is unnecessarily long and a little bit too random for me. Now, it still is a fun experience. I don't think it's a bad movie. I just think it's more of a rental, especially if you've got kids. You're going to want to make sure to be able to pause in case you need to go to the restroom. And for kids, it's not that bad. There's a few scary scenes. There's a few high action scenes, and the humor is a little edgy. There are some jokes that kind of toe that line, but for the most part, it should be fine for kids. So I'm going to tell you a little more about the film, a few things I liked, a few things I didn't like, and then go into the ending. So if you don't want to know what happens in this film, turn it off at the ending section. I'm going to keep it spoiler free until the ending discussion, but then once the ending discussion happens, all bets are off. So in Sonic 2, you have a return to Green Hills with our favorite fast hedgehog, still living with his family. But he is kind of like getting some growing pains. He really wants to be a hero. He's trying to kind of go out and do good, but he's still Sonic. He's still a kid. So he has some destructive aspects of his good. Like in the opening scene, he like does some good and stops a bank robbery, but in the process kind of destroys a whole block. So, you know, he's trying. I mean, you also have Robotnik back on the mushroom planet. He's trying to escape. He doesn't like being there, as you would imagine. So he's trying to figure out how to get out of the mushroom planet. So both of them, both Sonic and Dr. Robotnik, get new companions that help them along the way. And that leads to a very epic clash between all of our favorite characters in a very random, a little bit long, but mostly entertaining movie. So things I liked about this movie. The first, and the thing that I noticed right at the start, is the animation and the effects. They are beautiful. They are really, really well done, especially some of the out of this world aspects, like Dr. Robotnik on the mushroom planet. It looks beautiful. The water effects are really amazing. The fur is really amazing. Like, the animation overall is just very, very well done. It's very high quality. You can't really tell that it is using animation on top of movie scenes. There are some instances, very few instances that are noticeable, but overall it is just a really, really well done film. And I also loved that they kind of incorporated the animation into a like real life film, like an actual movie with animated characters and animation effects on top of it, and it does it pretty seamlessly. Like, for the most part, you just kind of can enjoy the experience. You're not going to be distracted. It's not going to look bad. It is an animation feat, and you can tell because in the credits there's like 3 pages of animators. There's a lot of work that went into this, and it shows. The next thing I loved are the new characters. Now, if you've seen the trailers or you read about this film, you know the new characters are Tails and Knuckles. And they are really fun. Like, I loved all the characters in the first film, and I really like Ben Schwartz as Sonic. He kind of captures the right feel for the character. And Tails is a great addition. He's a little bit unsure of himself, but he is a fun sidekick to Sonic. He's a really good inventor, and seeing him grow through the movie is a lot of fun. And Knuckles is just a very, very entertaining character. He's voiced by Idris Elba, and he has a literal way of expressing himself similar to Drax in Guardian of the Galaxy. Like, he does not understand human culture. He does not understand the things that we do. So it is really fun to see him try to understand and then use kind of pop culture in his conversations. His character is just overall very funny, and some of the things he says are just laugh out loud funny, which is a good transition into the next thing I love, which is the humor. It is still a very funny movie. I love Sonic 1 because it was just a lot of fun and had some really good laugh out loud moments. This is no different. There's a lot of funny jokes. There's a lot of laugh out loud moments. There's a lot of just kind of fun all around. Even though the film is about 2 hours long, it did feel a little bit long, but I was enjoying it the entire time. The fourth thing I really loved is, I'll call it the edge. Like, Sonic is a little bit more of an edgy character, and this is a little bit more of, I guess, an edgy kids movie than you would see. So that makes it both a little bit more exciting, I think, because there's a lot more action, because it is going off of like a Sonic action format. But you also have humor that will appeal to adults, kind of like how Pixar will usually have some jokes that, you know, adults will get but kids might not. This has it, and they're even a little bit more adult. There are some pretty interesting jokes that really towed that line. I laughed a lot. I hope my kids didn't understand it, but overall I like that it's something that both kids and adults can enjoy. The last thing I liked are like the little video game touches. You can tell this movie was made by people that love video games and love the old Sonic games. There's all these little things throughout that remind you of it. You know, the first thing you'll notice is in the Paramount, the stars that normally fly in, those are all rings. That was in Sonic 1. I'm glad it was also in Sonic 2. There is an instruction manual at one point that is held up, and it looks just like a Genesis manual, which I thought was a great touch. There's some video game effects. There's like a video game ringtone that happens partway through, and there's also little things from the Sonic games. Like there are scenarios in this movie that remind me of the Sonic games. And like one of the things I really liked that I thought was clever was there was one part where they were underwater and a air bubble like floated by Sonic, and he just like sucked the air in, just kind of like what you would do in the game when you were like underwater, you need to get air, and you go to a bubble and oh, all of a sudden you're fine. I love that. I thought that was a really, really fun touch. So you might ask, hey, all this stuff that you liked, what didn't you like? Well, nothing too major, but enough to make me think it's more of a rental. The first thing I didn't like is the movie is long. It is a 2-hour movie. It feels like 2 hours at some points. It is definitely a globe-trotting adventure. Some of it doesn't feel like it needs to be a globe-trotting adventure, though. And it does feel like there are a little bit too many scenarios, a little bit too much kind of going on that caused this movie to be a little bit longer than I think it had to be. I think you could have easily made this an hour 45, hour 40, would have been a little bit tighter. And it might have been a better kids movie because, like, look, 2 hours is about the limit of a kids movie. It is just over that, but it did definitely feel like a movie that was on the longer side. The second thing I didn't love as much is it's just very random. Like, I don't know, maybe I don't know the Sonic background, but the film involves like owls and conflict between, you know, different species and things like that. And then to fulfill this quest, they have to go to this place, and then they have to go to this place, and they have to go all over. It feels like maybe they're trying to put in aspects of the video game, but they don't always work as well. And also, it does feel like there was one scene that was admittedly fairly funny, and my kids loved it, but it also felt like they were trying to do what worked in Sonic 1 and kind of like just translate it into this movie. Like they had to have a similar type of scene because in Sonic 1 it was really good, so in this movie they had to have it as well. So I mean, all that kind of just made it feel a little bit too random, a little bit all over the place. But look, like I said, I did still enjoy the movie. And the last thing I don't know, didn't like is maybe the wrong word, because I also said I liked it. At some points, maybe it's a little bit too edgy. Like there are some jokes that are like really on the line. And I don't think it ever crosses the line, but it gets really, really close. So just be warned. There's a little, I mean, like I said, there's edge and I liked it, but there's some jokes that I don't know. I don't know if I want my kids to repeat. So like I said, now I'm going to go into the ending. So if you don't want to know what happens in the film, turn this off now. There will be spoilers. Grab a magic ring, teleport out. Let's go. So eventually we find out that Knuckles is looking for something called the Master Emerald. It's something that he wants to use to restore ultimate power to his people. He's been looking for it for a long time, and he thinks that Sonic is the way to get it. So eventually, Sonic and Tails realize that on Sonic's map of safe worlds, there's a little emerald in the bottom corner. And I went back and checked. It was actually in the first movie. So you know what? It sounds like they were planning this the whole time. They kind of touch the emerald, and the map changes. There's a hologram, like Luke and Leia type Star Wars thing that pops up, and it's Sonic's mother telling him about how the owls had protected this emerald for a long time, and now Sonic has to do it. And the map completely changes into a map for the emerald. So Sonic has to locate this Master Emerald. So that map leads them to Siberia, because of course, why not? Where they then get a compass that is supposed to then help them find the emerald. They unfortunately get ambushed by Robotnik and Knuckles there. And we learn a little bit more about this emerald. We find out that the Master Emerald, this emerald that Sonic's mother Longclaw had been protecting, was from 7 emeralds that were forged by the Echidnas, which is what Knuckles is, and that's his tribe. They forged these 7 emeralds, and then the Longclaw, I guess, turned it into this Master Emerald that is supposed to be this kind of ultimate power. So Sonic and Tails, after they get the compass, they get ambushed by Robotnik and Knuckles, and Robotnik and Knuckles steal the compass, and that leads them, Robotnik and Knuckles, to the tropics. There's an island way off, like on the other side of the world, that apparently is where the emerald actually is. And this is one of those things, like, it's kind of a little bit random. Like, they have a map to get to the compass that then leads them to the emerald. That whole thing didn't seem to have to work, but it does then allow them to go into the tropics, have a different environment, and allows them to get closer to where Tom and Maddie are. So, you know, it is convenient for the movie, but it also felt like it didn't really need to happen. And so now we have Robotnik and Knuckles at the island that they can put the compass in, and that leads to this like giant, like Legend of the Hidden Temples, Indiana Jones type maze with traps and things like that that will lead them to the emerald. It's a pretty elaborate thing to be sitting in the ocean, but you know, it makes for an exciting movie. Now, over with Tom and Maddie, they were at a wedding that Sonic and Tails crashed, but luckily they're all in the tropics and they can see the like green beam from this emerald shining up. So they can see it. It's just off in the distance. Sonic wants to go and save the world. He wants to be a hero. He doesn't want to wait for anyone. So he just goes off and runs. And this is one of those scenes where it's like Sonic can't really do it on his own, can he? Like he's too impulsive, and he's running and there's a big wave and he can't get over the big wave and it causes him to crash down. And like, oh no, this is gonna be a scene where Sonic learns that he can't do it on his own. But then he wakes up on an island right by the temple as well. So it seems like everything worked out for him. So Sonic by himself and then Robotnik and Knuckles together get to the emerald about the same time. And Sonic and Knuckles start to fight because Sonic is now supposed to protect the emerald. That's what Longclaw told him he had to do. And Knuckles wants the emerald to help restore his tribe. And so they fight. They have a superpower fight. And it's weird because Knuckles like completely handled Sonic earlier, but now they hold their own. But while they're fighting, Robotnik gets up there and takes the emerald. And as you'd expect from Robotnik, he decides to betray Knuckles. So he takes the emerald, gets this like superpower. His clothes, you know, turn green. He gets like electrical powers and things like that. And basically pops off and the temple starts to kind of collapse. So during the collapse, Knuckles gets trapped underwater and Sonic goes down to save him. And then Knuckles saves him later. So they're kind of becoming at least respectful of each other, maybe becoming friends, who knows, but they're at least helping each other out. And on the beach after, we find out that Sonic now really understands what it means to be a hero. Remember, he was trying to be a hero earlier, but he wasn't doing a great job. Now he feels like he knows what it means to be a hero because Knuckles asks him, hey, why did you save me? Like, I've been trying to stop you or trying to hurt you this entire time. And Sonic is like, being a hero is not about saving yourself. It's about saving others or something like that. It's like being a hero is about doing things for others, not for yourself. And so they kind of come to an uneasy truce and they decide they have to get this emerald back. They got to stop Robotnik. So Robotnik heads to Green Hills for some reason to, I guess, enact his revenge in Green Hills first. So when he's there, he uses his powers to like gather up all this stuff. Like his powers disassemble all these like tanks and cars and things around him. And they all swirl up into this big tornado. It's a really cool looking scene. It's a really cool effect. And they all swirl up into this like giant robot mech thing that looks kind of like Robotnik, but also kind of like the Juggernaut. If the Juggernaut or Robotnik had merged into a giant robot, that's what it would look like. Just as the robot is about to kind of wreak havoc and starting to wreak havoc, Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails teleport in through a ring, and they're there to fight too. So they realize that they're going to have to distract Robotnik because he's just too powerful. So since Sonic is the one that like Robotnik is focused on, Sonic distracts him while Tails and Knuckles try to find a weak spot on the robot. So Sonic is distracting him, and Robotnik is about to get Sonic, and then Tails welds his way into the cockpit. He like snuck up behind the robot and got into the cockpit. Robotnik sees him and knocks him out, but Tails is like, I was also the distraction. And then you see Knuckles, who was probably following Tails or somehow got in, getting ready, and he just like one punch man's Robotnik, and that punches the emerald out of Robotnik. And so now Robotnik is back to normal. The robot doesn't have the superpowers, and the emerald flies out. Now Robotnik is still Robotnik, and the robot does have some power, just not as much. So he starts to get the robot back up. The emerald flies out, and Sonic sees it. So he is trying to get there, but he is hurt. He is staggering. He is trying to get to the emerald. And also during this time, Tom and Maddie are in the Jeep, barreling towards Sonic to try to help him as well. So the robot is slowly getting there, trying to get to the emerald. Sonic is trying to get to the emerald, and Tom and Maddie are zooming by as well. So Sonic gets to the emerald just as the Mecha Robotnik is about to crush him with his foot. But luckily, Tom and Maddie get to him too, and they zoom in right before he's about to get crushed and pick him up. He has the emerald. Everything's great, except when the robot foot comes down, that causes the truck to crash. Everyone's okay, but they don't have transportation. They're a little hurt, and Sonic is just kind of holding the emerald, and it cracks apart into the 7 individual emeralds. And Sonic is basically just like, you know, he is going to stay with the emerald. He can't beat Robotnik, so he just says, you know, you both go, like, leave me, you know, just save yourselves. And they're like, no, we're a family. We stick together. And so they all stick there, as you would think Robotnik is about to crush him. And I was like, dude, what about Ozzy? What about your dog? Your dog's back home. Someone's got to take care of him. He was a really great character in the first part of the movie. But you know what? I guess they just want to all stay with Sonic. So as the foot is coming down, the 7 emeralds start to spin. They turn into a ring, and then they go right into Sonic. And you're like, oh, what's going on? And you see the foot come down, but then there's this golden light that shines out from the foot. And you see the foot start to lift. And so eventually you see Super Sonic, which is basically a Super Saiyan Sonic. He looks just like a Super Saiyan. He can like float like a Super Saiyan. He's got the hair up like a Super Saiyan. He's gold. He is a Super Saiyan. But he's not. He's supersonic, but he's a Super Saiyan. So he now has all this power, and he takes out the robot. You know, Robotnik tries to use the robot to hurt him, but he's just too strong. Like Robotnik punches him, and he just stops him with his hand, pushes away. So Super Saiyan Sonic takes out the robot. It collapses over, breaks apart, and everything's fine. Super Saiyan Sonic like goes down. He sees Tom and Maddie. Knuckles and Tails are there, and Knuckles says, you know, you can't touch him. He has the power of the emerald. He has the infinite power. He's not the same Sonic that you used to have. And then you see him look up, and this big cloud tornado appears, and there's lightning, and you're like, oh my gosh, what's he gonna do? Is he gonna like fly off into the universe? And down comes a chili dog, and he starts eating it. And then some chili dumps on Knuckles, and he's like, okay, actually, maybe he's the same Sonic that you knew. So he releases the emeralds, doesn't hold on to them, and goes back to his normal blue Sonic. And everyone's like, why'd you do that? Like, you had the superpower. You could have been the most powerful hero ever. And he's like, well, I still have a little bit of growing up to do. I don't want that power yet. So Knuckles takes the 7 individual emeralds and reforms the Super Emerald. I guess it was pretty easy to remake. I thought it would be a little more difficult, but you know what? That's fine. And Tails, Knuckles, and Sonic all decide that they're going to be the ones to protect this emerald. Just like Longclaw did before, they're going to form this new group to protect this emerald. So now Sonic has friends, and he has a purpose. There's one scene after where they're playing baseball, and this is again like one of the things where Knuckles is really funny. Like, they're trying to explain baseball to him, and he just has these great like dry, obvious type of lines that I just love. Like, they're really funny when he's trying to like figure out baseball. But after they finish baseball, they're gonna get some ice cream, and as they're leaving, Tom goes up to Sonic and is like, you know, I'm glad you found your wingman. I'm glad you found your friends. And Sonic, you know, is happy as well, but he calls Tom Dad, which is very cute because they always kind of like said that he was like their son, and now he kind of acknowledges it. So they drive away, and then you get these amazing credits. I think they did this in the first movie, and I love seeing it again. The credits are basically like 2D Sonic versions of things that happen in the movie. It's essentially the entire plot of the movie during the credits in 2D. They have different kind of scenes that feel like they are pulled from the different Sonic games. So it starts off 2D, and then there's like a 3D-ish look from I think Sonic 2, and then you have like a slope thing from one of the Sonic games, and then eventually it becomes a little bit more 3D, but it always kind of has that Sonic style. It's really, really nice. And the thing it made me want is I want more Sonic games. I want more Sonic games like the first Sonic games. So I'm hoping that they maybe make this. I don't think they will because that seems like a lot of work, but it'd be really great if they did. So stick around for that part of the credits because it's really awesome. And then also there's a stinger. So you see the military folks clean up the rubble from Robotnik's robot. And one of them comes up and they says, they're still searching. We haven't found any sign of Robotnik. And then you see one of the agents kind of pull down their mask off to the side, not in front of everyone. And it is Dr. Robotnik's kind of henchman that was waiting for him to return before, and apparently is still waiting for him. So something is going on. But then you also hear someone say, when we were wiping Robotnik off of our system, we found a 50-year-old file, coordinates to a secret research facility. It was a black site. Someone worked very hard to keep hidden. And the general basically says, like, my God, Project Shadow. And then you see a secret lab with a chamber in it that has a dark hedgehog. It's Shadow the Hedgehog, and his eyes pop open. Boom, that's the credits. So there are definitely going to be another movie. It will pretty obviously involve Shadow, and we'll see what happens. But that's Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Like I said, I think it's more a rental. It is still fun. It is still a very fun, enjoyable movie. So if you go see it, I don't think you'll be disappointed, but it wasn't as good as the first one. But you know, it's a pretty good video game movie, and it's a good translation of things in the Sonic universe onto like a movie format. So that's Sonic the Hedgehog 2. It's available in theaters on April 8th, 2022. And thanks so much for watching. If you liked this review, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you.